Hi, I'm Catherien Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherien Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Also executive producer of the movie, Show Her the Money. And every week we have on incredible guests that are resources for you as founders and investors. And today we have on an incredible guest all the way from London. And her name is Christina Richardson. She is an associate professor of entrepreneurship at the University College of London, as well as founder of Foundology, which you're going to learn all about today. Please welcome to the show, Christina. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. Thanks so much for having me on. It's a great day here, still sunny over in London.
Wait a minute. Isn't it usually rainy in London? Are you sure it's sunny?
It really is.
Okay, okay. All right. We're not going to know, so we're going to take your word for it. Let's talk a little bit about your background and why you decided to start Foundology and how our listeners could benefit from becoming part of your group that helps founders have a community, have resources to help build their businesses. But first, let's talk about your background. I mean, it's really impressive. I know you're also a tech founder, but you were doing like branding for like Nestle and Mercedes and some pretty big brands. And then also you helped found two tech companies. Is that right? Yeah,
Absolutely right. So by background, I guess I'm a serial founder, and for
I think you
sure,
are. I think
my
you are.
my entrepreneurship experience started in tech. But prior to that, you're right, I was in marketing, so innovation for big brands all over the world, big brands that we know about. And what's great about that is you get to kind of run your own little business within a giant corporation. So you kind of have
The
a bit of an
best of both.
entrepreneurship experience within the corporate. But
Yeah.
you ask about my background, and I think my parents would probably say that me being entrepreneur was cast early. I was making money by face painting at children's parties when I was 14 and making my own jewelry and selling it at 16. So, and my first proper business, as I would call it, I launched when I finished my A levels, as it is over here, when I was 18. So I guess I was always supposed to do this.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it is. I think it is in people's DNA. You're kind of born with it. I kind of had a similar path. And even when I did work in corporate America, I had like my own business within that. So I know what you mean. And it's kind of the best of both because they're financing it and you're getting to run it. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. And that experience lends itself well to starting your own businesses, right? Taking that expertise you have in branding to launch your own companies. I even see you all for one of your tech products, you were the second, let's see, Cannes Lions Innovation Award. And brands like Samsung and Expedia were using your technology. What kind of technology was that?
So both of the our startups were in marketing tech or ad tech, depending on your leaning. The first one was in community software, which is kind of ironic where I've ended up now. The one you're talking about there that won a Cannes Lion Innovation Award, that was all about content sharing and enabling you to overlay your message onto anything that you shared. So it's quite a techie solution, but actually was really quite forward thinking, quite innovative, which is why we kind of got quite a quick route into some of those big brands.
And so you exited those companies by selling them?
Well,
Yeah.
that I guess this is where the story becomes interesting. So, the first one, yes, I did. The second one has a much, I guess, darker story, so much so that I pushed myself so hard that my husband thought I was having a heart attack at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my gosh, entrepreneurship can do that to you if you're not careful. You have to have that balance. It's so easy to be all consumed with it. And I imagine this was the catalyst to your starting what you're doing now to help, founders have community and support so that doesn't happen to them. Am I right?
100%. That is exactly the driver behind creating Foundology and all the work I now do to fuel the humans behind the startups, because it is one heck of a roller coaster journey we go on, and we can push ourselves. And I've now done research to understand why we can push ourselves that hard, and to understand what highly resilient founders really do differently to navigate those ups and downs in order to kind of help us fuel the humans behind the startups. But really what's at the core of Foundology is what we call our FounderCircles. So these are group coaching. So like we have hundreds of founders all over the world who meet every single month in their group coaching group with their founder coach, 2 hours every month. And they are fixing their latest challenge together. They are learning from each other. They are supporting from each other. And I have the wonderful position of being able to watch their confidence and resilience grow through having that support, and going away with problems, not solutions, and support, not worries.
Right. You mean solutions, not problems.
That's the one.
I knew what you meant.
It's a good job you do. It's getting towards the end of the day here, Catherine.
So when did you create Foundology? And how many people are involved in that now?
So we've got a team of 15, and we created it back in 2019. And that was actually born out of the first piece of research. Research sounds terribly official, doesn't it? But really, I wanted to understand if myself and my co-founder were the only ones having these problems. Unfortunately, the answer is no. 9 out of 10 founders have signs of mental health strain because they are able to push themselves that badly.
And your team of 15 is helping how many? Like how many are in the community? I know it's growing rapidly.
Yeah, we have a few hundred who are meeting in their dedicated groups every month, with our founder coaches, and that's what makes up the team, our founder coaches.
Now, is this all over the world or all over UK or yeah?
All over the world, yeah. And that's the wonder of it. We are a business that really took off during COVID, and as a result, we were forced to stay online. And we've now layered in different community events where we do get together in real life. But actually, the core of our founder circles and most of our one-to-one coaching for founders all happens in this space on Zoom.
I love it. And everybody needs that third party person to help them. So your team who are helping these founders have been there, done that, have this expertise to coach these founders, I take it.
Absolutely. So everyone is a psychologically trained coach. So we will have accreditations or training. But actually, to your point, we've all been founders. We all know what it's like. And it's really common to hear that for a coach, you don't need lived experience. And in many cases, I'm sure that's right. But in founderhood, I think it makes a difference. I think founders want to be surrounded by people who get it, which is why we have the kind of double whammy. Our founder coaches are ex-founders, and then obviously you're in a group that is also other founders who are at a similar stage as you. It's just surrounding yourself with people who get it, where you can have confidential conversations about the stuff that really is going to push you forward.
It's so funny when we take our film around the world, Show Her the Money. It seems the entrepreneurs are so excited to see it because it shares the journey of these 4 founders and their trials and tribulations. I mean, we don't hold back. I mean, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some people cry and some people just feel hopeful at the triumphs and always tell us that our movie makes them feel seen and heard. And honestly, Sometimes I think when we talk about entrepreneurship and everyone talks about how hard it is, that sometimes I sit there and wonder, how do the people in the audience just even go down that path, like knowing how hard it is, but it doesn't deter people. I
Mm.
think people like a challenge, and entrepreneurship is challenging, and it's also, we talk about the challenges and how hard it is, but it's also extremely rewarding and exciting and at times fun, or people wouldn't do it, right? So I
I
do think
think it's so important to tell those stories, those truthful stories. But over the years, it's adjusted. So we work with a lot of accelerators and VCs all over the world. We kind of plug in our founder circles so that they can have this human bit of support alongside whatever accelerator program that they're doing. Um, but I think some people are a bit scared to say it's hard. But actually, the data in our most recent research, the founder resilience research, it sort of screams that that you're never going to deter a founder from being a founder.
yeah,
Even with all the challenges, 89% of them are still glad that they are doing what they're doing. Like, you're never
right.
going to stop them.
Right. And I love that you have created something called the Founder Resilience Report. I'd never heard of that before. And tell us about that. How did you conduct that? What were the results?
So this ties back to the research that I mentioned in 2019. One of the things that came out of that was that founders rank um, resilience as the number one trait. Not problem solving skills, not communication skills, not selling skills, resilience. And this sort of stuck with me. And we went off to change the world with our founder circles and did that. But this statistic always stuck with me because there's not actually much written about or researched about founder resilience. There's psychological resilience, there's an increasing body of research around that. But what is founder resilience and how on earth do you build it? If it's the most important thing, how do you build it? And that's what this research in last year was all about. So really closing that gap and going, okay, well, what is it? What's the impact of it? And most critically, how do you practically build it? And that's kind of how it unpacked. So
And how did you measure that resilience?
yeah,
Like, was it was it interviews with entrepreneurs, and what kinds of things were you asking them?
I think this is one of the most critical parts of the methodology. So we combined within a much bigger quant study a tool called the brief resilience scale. So this is an academically validated scale. There's many different ways of measuring resilience, and this is one of the sort of a short but effective one. So within the whole questionnaire, we hid these 6 questions, which then allowed us to qualify every founder that took the study into high resilience scoring, normal resilience scoring, and low resilience scoring. And as soon as you get that, we could analyze all these different dimensions of founder life through these 3 different sort of categories. And what that tells us is yes, founder resilience really does make a huge difference. So founders with high resilience are much healthier. They are in a much stronger psychological state, as in they are suffering much less with overwhelm, anxiety, and stress. Um, they are much less likely to want to quit. So we can absolutely see that there is an impact of this all-important resilience number. And then we can look at what they do differently. And this is what kind of starts to build this playbook for founder resilience. And what we learned is 3 key areas. One is they dedicate time to what I call your performance habits. Some would call them well-being habits, but actually it's making sure that you're getting your exercise, whatever that looks like for you, making sure that you prioritize your downtime, even though every ounce of your being wants to work longer. Then their second bucket is they think resiliently, and they do that quite proactively. So they actually work on, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? How can I use that to perform better? And then the third one is support. So we know that the most resilient founders are almost always in a group with other founders where they can have proper conversations, which obviously is good for us because it feeds very nicely into founder
Yeah.
circles.
And what
Thank
you're
goodness
doing.
the results worked.
And the other word that we often use, and I know it's used in our movie a lot, but same as resilience is grit. Yeah, same thing, but that they have a lot of grit, and that's what it takes for sure. Yeah, no resilience, don't be an entrepreneur, right?
And of course, it is a skill that can be developed. It is something that you can work on, and it absolutely is has that in abundance. But the purpose of the research was to help founders to kind of understand, well, how can I get it? How can I get more of it? Especially if
Oh, I
you're
like
starting
that.
out.
Yeah. How do you fuel that? Yeah. So tell me, you're an associate professor in entrepreneurship, University College of London. Tell me a little bit about that program. I'm just curious what, the universities are doing. I know one of our targets with our film, Show Her the Money, is that we have screened at a lot of universities, everywhere from Vanderbilt to Wharton to Harvard, USC, UCLA, all over. And a little bit in Europe, but we'd like to do more. Um, just teaching those entrepreneurs about venture capital, either as, getting funding as a founder if you wanted to scale, or ultimately as an investor. We certainly need more women investing in venture capital. Um, so tell us about your program. I'm just curious to know about it.
So the what I teach on is the entrepreneurship masters. So it is a degree in entrepreneurship. Some people say, "Can you learn entrepreneurship?" Well, yeah, you can actually. You can hone the skills, and I like to see this part of my working life as fueling the really early stage founders on their journey. So where Foundology sort of picks up founders who are up and running right up, from pre-seed right up to series C, D, and E. UCL, my role at UCL is all about those really early stage. We're still battling with like, shall I even do this? Or which idea should I go with, this one or this one? And I like to think of it as a bit like an incubator that you also get a degree out of. So you come in with an idea, maybe we help you kill that first idea and germinate a new one and then build it and build it and build it through the year up until the dissertation, which is often all around their idea. So it's a real incubator of sorts whilst doing a degree. And
And I
um,
love that because, let's face it, years ago, the universities and colleges didn't even have an entrepreneurship program. So that's very cutting edge. Do you know how many years ago it started there?
I think we're over 10 years, I think, probably between 10 and 15 years. So yeah, it was
But
definitely one
even
of
that's
the
still
earlier
young,
ones.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I've brought to the course is the human side. So I introduced this module called Building High Impact Founders, which is all about bringing the lessons from all the founders in Foundology and sort of siphoning it down to our early stage founders so that they can have a little bit of sight around, okay, well, how do I tap into my strengths as a leader? What kind of leader do I want to be? How can I be resilient? How can I tackle that stress that we know is coming down the line? Really to set them up in the for the journey that they've got ahead of them.
You really seem like you're in your element, and it must be really fun to be giving these tools to these young entrepreneurs and getting more young people thinking about being entrepreneurs. It sounds really exciting. Both things you're doing, the university and also the Foundology, which sounds like a very cool opportunity for, entrepreneurs to have a community, have support, have resources. So, Christina, how do people find out about Foundology and join your organization?
First up, foundology.org. you'll hear all about this epic community in our founder coaching, and you'll find our founder circles on there. So if you're out there sitting thinking like, why am I only one having any problems? It's like, first of all, you're not. Come and join a group and discover that everybody's having challenges. It's just normal. And other founders can help you crack it. So that would be our founder circles. We talked a little bit earlier about how, just talking and hearing the real stories, the highs and the lows, is so important. So anybody wanting to hear more of those, I would say subscribe to our FounderFuel channel. So just Google FounderFuel channel and that will come up. And we interview founders. We have like the raw, gritty conversations with founders about their real life, and it's all done behind closed doors so that I really can ask some gritty, tricky questions, and they can talk about their journey, their lessons, so you don't have to make the same mistakes.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that private one-on-ones or grouped conversations that are other people aren't privy to, because sometimes it feels raw and personal. But it is good to know other people are going through the same thing, and even sharing solutions. Hey, I have this issue, I have this problem, I need this, or I need this resource, and sharing those so that we're helping each other, because no person is an island, and I don't believe that solopreneurs really can be that successful without that kind of support. So bravo to what you're doing. I take it people can also find you on LinkedIn under
Absolutely.
Christina Richardson. So
Yep.
look, yep, Christina is spelled CH. I always say that because some people are just listening in and not getting a visual. So Christina Richardson is on LinkedIn, and you can go to foundology.org to learn about becoming part of their group and benefiting from their resources and coaching. So thanks so much for being on, Christina. I really appreciate it. I love London, by the way. I was just there last year with our film. And wow, what an amazing community of entrepreneurs. And everybody, you can also find me, Catherien Gray, Catherien with a C, Gray with an A, on LinkedIn, and visit our websites, which are sheangelinvestors.com and our movie, showherthemoneymovie.com. Thank you, everybody, so much for taking the time to tune in. Christina, thank you for being a guest. And everybody, make it a great week.